Hey everyone, and welcome to another video of Terraform. My name is Tia from DevOps Easy Learning, and today we'll be going through Terraform configuration file. In Terraform, basically, we have some files that are always like the same, and some we can change the name based on what we want to do, right? Let me click on this gear icon here. This is going to take me in my GitHub repository where I kind of put a sample code that I will be using. And also I will make sure that I put the link to this GitHub repository in the description of this video, so that if you kind of want to follow exactly what I'm doing, you can go ahead and do so. Now, I will go ahead here and kind of grab this code and use it from local. And so far, I've cloned this repository already, and I have it on my local machine here. And I will just kind of get a path, and I will navigate to this path and open this code and open this in VS Code, right? So that it will be easy for me to read. Let me go ahead here and copy the path. And here I just open my terminal. The root of this repository, it is in code and Terraform course there. And this is the root. I can cd now into the path where I have all this file here, and just open. As you can see, I have example with the JSON and also example with TF vars. Let me go ahead and type code here to open. And this will go ahead and open this in VS Code. We just have these two little example here. I will be going through this one, and later on I will just explain the second one. Let us go through the second one first. Right here, we have something here. We just have a provider file. Most of the time, folks like to kind of create a file called a provider file. And within this provider file, what are they going to put? They usually put their Terraform block and also this main provider. This one here just set up the required Terraform version, and this one here we go ahead and just we can set up what is the AWS provider that we want. We want this version, and I will be using the random, and that's why I also have my random provider. And we set up all our Terraform block in here. And another file here, which is also really important, it's always there, is called the variable file, right? The variable file here is where I'm going to define all my variables. All the variables that I want in my configuration file will be defined in variables. And this one here is what we call the Terraform.tf vars. With Terraform.tf vars, this is where I'm going to put the actual variable value, because in variable file, we can define the variable and we'll put the default value, which means if we don't define something here in Terraform.tf var, what is going to happen? Terraform is going to use whatever we have here in the variable file as a default value. But if we define something here in Terraform.tf vars file, as soon as we trigger Terraform will load this file and use what it is in here instead of what we have in here. That means this variable that we put in the variable.tf var file are going to override everything that we have in the variable file, which means this basically behave the same thing as a hem. Hem also have a variable file, and it also have the actual value, the actual variable file that we want to use, right? And every time that we trigger hem, if hem check that value and it finds what it needs, that is fine. It will go ahead and override what we have in the default value, in the default value. If it doesn't find it, it will use whatever we have in the default value. If you have an idea how hem works, right? Now, there is another one called, I have another one here called auto.tf vars. What happened here is that, let's say you you want to launch a lot of resources here, and you don't want to put every variable value in Terraform.tf vars, because you know so far that this file will be loaded automatically. What are you going to do? You need to make sure that you create other variables, TF vars, right? But any file that will be auto.tf and vars, what happened? This will be loaded automatically. Anything that will be like star auto.tf vars will be loaded automatically. And that is why in here, I kind of put the S3 bucket name. And here we actually have the code here to create the S3 bucket where we just have the bucket name and some tag here. And in here also, I have a random, as you guys can see here, I create another one called random.auto.tf vars. Any single thing that is auto.tf vars will be loaded automatically. And we just put all the value that we want for this random here. And random is what? It's just a Terraform block that we use to create a random string that we can kind of use that to append to a specific resource, especially when you want to create an S3 bucket in AWS. We know that S3 bucket has to be unique in the whole entire AWS account. What are you going to do? Let's say you don't really know how to use Terraform interpolation and put a name that will be unique. You can go ahead and create a random string and you append this one to your S3 bucket. Now, there is also another file that we are not up to there called the backend. Also, a backend. Let's say we don't want to store our state file local. Usually, folks will go ahead here and create another file here called backend.tf. And in the backend.tf, they are going to put the backend configuration to basically store the state file, to download the state file from the remote location. That is what is missing. And most of the time, folks in the main.tf, they will go ahead and write their main code. It doesn't mean that, let's say I have a VPC and I have an EKS module, I have an EKS control plane. I can create a TF called VPC and put all my VPC code in there. I can create the EKS control plane TFR and put all the EKS control plane. Also the EKS node group and put all the node group in, right? You structure this, you structure this thing the way that you want, but there are some file that they have a name and Terraform understand that, especially the variables file. Terraform know how to load the variable file, the Terraform.tf vars. Terraform know how to load the TF vars, and also anything that is auto.tf vars. Terraform will know how to load that. And let's say you create a file and just say s3.tf vars. Terraform will not understand how to load that file automatically at runtime. You will need to pass that value file at runtime with half and value file, right? You need to pass that at runtime. If you don't pass that at runtime, Terraform is going to prompt you to put the actual value of the variables if you have not yet defined the default in the variable file. Be very careful with that. That means the only thing that Terraform understands is what? The variables file. You know how to load it, the Terraform.tf vars file, and anything that is .auto.tf vars star. That means I can put a star here. Let me go ahead and write it here. Anything that will be star and .auto.tf vars, Terraform will be able to load this file automatically. When we say star, it means it doesn't matter what we put here. It can be eks.auto.tf vars, vpc.auto.tf vars, s3.auto.tf vars. If you just want to split all your variable file into chunk like this, instead of putting everything into Terraform.tf vars, Terraform will load this. Now, the provider we mentioned and all this, and then the README file most of the time also in your Terraform configuration file, it is just when you want to put some note, you want to write some, it's just for note taking, right? To explain some concept that you are using, instead of like putting everything like a single line command or multiple line commands, you can use a README file, which is just written using the Markdown language. Now, let me click on the second example. This second example is still the same thing, similar to the first one. We also have a main.tf, we have a provider, and here we have a variable file. But the only thing here is that I can change the Terraform TF vars file. The Terraform TF vars file here, I'm using the Terraform.tf vars.json. Right? This one is just like a little bit new to some folks also, because when they see this, they say, how come we are using JSON? You guys should understand that Terraform support JSON, right? Terraform also support JSON. Normally, you can write your Terraform maybe using JSON if you can, or you can go ahead and use HCL. And that is why I've decided to kind of write this Terraform.tf vars file using JSON. And what are the variables? These are the variables in here. These are all the variables, and all the variables values are put it in terms of JSON. We say AWS region, AWS this the AMI that we are going to use. This will be the instance type, and here the key name, and here the security group. Here, all these value that I have here exists already in my AWS account. I just go ahead and grab a specific AMI. We can always use the the data source to grab this. I also have a key name that exists already, and I have one VPC security group that was created manually. You can always use Terraform to do that. And I kind of pick one subnet ID from my default VPC. And here we basically have anything that have to do with the random string, right? This will be the root device that we want, and all this here have to do with the random string. As you guys can see, we start with this and we close with this, and we put all our parameters, we put everything in. If we take the second example, as you guys can see here, if you want to transform like that, I just take this. What am I going to do? If I want to put this in terms of JSON, I just need to add this. I just need to add this and this, right? And if you fire up Terraform will understand. But you have to end here with terraform.tf.json. Don't be surprised that you go out there and you are working somewhere. They don't just put terraform.tf vars, but they put terraform.tf vars.json. If you go ahead here and kind of check the README file, I might have one example here, how you convert from the normal one to JSON. Let's say we have this, we want to convert this thing to JSON. It is very simple. If you don't even know how to convert this thing to JSON, do not worry. If you know how to use ChatGPT, that's really, really simple. Copy this thing like this. This is your normal TS vars. Your normal TS var have all this value. You can just go here and you open ChatGPT and you ask him to convert this one to JSON. If you click here and say convert, and just say convert to JSON and paste this. As you guys can see, very soon this guy is going to convert it into JSON, and you can grab this thing now and put it in your Terraform configuration file and call terraform.tf vars.json. Right? Very simple. You don't need to stress yourself if you don't know how to convert that into JSON. You can use this tool here to convert from your normal terraform.tf vars file to terraform.tf vars.json. And if you trigger Terraform with both cases, that is going to work. And what is happening with the first one? The first case here, in this example here, I don't want to save anything. This one here, what is it doing? It's just going to create an EC2 instance, right? And also we'll create a random string and use that random string here to create an S3 bucket and make sure that this will be unique. I'm not going to kind of trigger, I can trigger one example, but you can go ahead and run this one. You guys will see that it's going to create the same resource. Let me go ahead and navigate into this directory and kind of type Terraform init ls. I'm going to navigate to this. You guys will see that it's going to load everything automatically, like I mentioned. I'll type Terraform init to initialize, and this is going to download the provider. After that, we'll just type Terraform apply because I know exactly what it's going to create. I will go ahead here, type Terraform apply, and this will go ahead and create the resource. We have unsupported argument, which is just, we say numeric equal var this. The argument numeric is not supported. When you have this, how are you going to solve it? Normally, this was already numeric is not supported. This looks like it was duplicated, and I'll go ahead and change the number. Let me see that again, numeric is not supported. I'll go ahead and change numeric to number. Let me figure out where the error message is coming from. If you go to, you can always read this carefully to see numeric is not supported, and in where? In this main.tf line 22. Let us go to main.tf and we'll go to line 22 because Terraform will tell you exactly where the error message is. Main.tf, and we are going to line 22. Instead of numeric, we are going to put number. And I'm going to save this and type Terraform, apply. And Terraform is happy. Let us go ahead and hit OK. And this will go ahead and create the S3 bucket and also one EC2 instance. If you hook over to AWS, and check EC2, I am in the wrong account. Let me sign out. I will log into another account because I launched it in a different account. Open this one, and we will see that. Click on EC2. I have two. There is one here called VM, and if we check the time, it just pops up right now and it's still even initializing, right? And if you go to an S3 bucket, we are going to have one S3 bucket with a random string. And it is this one. It basically creates a random string, it append to that bucket. And if you go and check the bucket name, you guys will see that we use Terraform interpolation and use my unique bucket. Let me go ahead and confirm that, and I will shut that down. If you go to S3 bucket, you guys can see here, we say the name of that bucket is equal. Let us go ahead and check the variable called var.bucket name. Var.bucket name, it is in this auto.tf vars. We have this my unique bucket, and we append a random string, which is cool. I will go ahead and clean up. Go ahead here, type Terraform destroy to destroy the resource. And why is doing this? What is the takeaway here? The takeaway here basically is that we can kind of have a Terraform.tf vars file that will be loaded automatically. And if we want to split our Terraform.tf vars file into chunks, we can kind of define anything that is star.auto.tf vars. And also we can define the Terraform.tf var.json because Terraform also support JSON, right? And that's it, guys. Make sure that when you launch something, you go ahead. Don't forget to destroy this, otherwise AWS will charge you. And if you like this video, please let us know in the comment below, and also hit the subscribe button so that the next time when we publish a new video, you will be notified. Also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and so on. Bye-bye.